Hey everybody, Scaremaster here, coming to you from the Scottish Rite. We are on the first floor, and what I want to do is I'm going to show you how dark it is. We've got the night vision going on. You can hear the echo of the building, so you can always hear when somebody's walking, the sound of the footsteps, the laughter, the boom noises, the doors. So where I'm standing at right now, there used to be a desk here, and that was the security desk. And the gentleman that was always here, his name was Jiggs. Jiggs was an older gentleman, and this was where he stayed. And he was always here to check you in and check you out and make sure that nobody came through the door and bothered us. He's also the same gentleman where we had certain knocks and phrases and things that we would use because he was older and he wanted to go home. But this is the spot where he always was. He was a head security guard. A lot of people say that they still see Jiggs in this building. I personally have seen him twice, and I do know that several people that work in this building have seen him, and there's been other brother master masons and Scottish Rite masons that have also witnessed seeing Jiggs. Is Jiggs still here? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Hey everybody, so we are at the Scottish Rite building located at 341 Bull Street in Savannah, Georgia. We are here talking to Miss Linda, who is the secretary of the Scottish Rite. How are you today, Miss Linda?
I'm just fine.
Great, great. And how do you pronounce your last name?
Osley.
Osley. How long have you been the secretary here at the Scottish Rite?
Since about June of 2001.
In 2001. Now, during that time, have you had to lock up by yourself a lot here?
Oh, yes.
What's the average time, would you say, when it got dark, when it about got dark?
Oh, no. We usually, when I first started, we'd close at 4.
Close at 4. Now, when you're closing up by yourself, do you have to go around and check a lot of the doors and things, or do you just cut the lights out in here and make sure the front door is closed?
I usually just close up in here, and if I think there's something going on in the building, I might go check. But and the light out in the hall and downstairs and lock up and leave.
Now, have you ever been to any of the rooms upstairs by yourself?
Oh, yes.
And anytime that you've been up in those rooms or floors, how did you feel when you were up there? I assume you were by yourself is what
yeah.
Now, were you ready to get in there and get out, or?
Well, not really, but you do feel kind of funny walking around in this building by yourself.
Like funny how? Like somebody's watching you or somebody's...
Yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, just kind of weird sometimes. You do feel like, well, somebody might be in here.
Have you ever felt colder in some spots than other spots?
No.
No. Have you ever seen maybe a shadow or anything like that? Seen doorknobs turn, knocks, walks?
No, just the wind howling through the windows. And let's see, what else? There was something that, the chair that time that I was going to the Blue Lodge room, I was trying to get some exercise from sitting, and all of a sudden a chair popped, like it had flipped up or down or something. That was a little scary, and I said, I'm getting out of here, and you can have this room if you want it.
And the Blue Lodge room is on the 3rd floor.
That's right.
Cool. Now, have you had any other experiences in your 20 years here that kind of made you think twice about going into a room by yourself?
No.
No. Now let me ask you this. Would you ever spend a night in this building by yourself? In the Blue Lodge room?
In the Blue Lodge? No. I might in here, but I wouldn't not out there, no.
I got. Have you ever heard any stories from anyone, maybe a cleaning person or a night security guard or anybody or other members of the fraternity that may have had stories about this building?
Yes, there's been several people that said they've had experiences up here, and the cleaning lady, she was here for a long time, and when she would tell us, she said, when I go, I think she said it was the 4th floor, and she would go in there and she said, I just do what I had to get done and get out, and because they didn't want me in there. And they didn't like me being in there.
And they, meaning ghosts, I guess. I mean, not the
Spirits.
Freemasons, correct?
I guess some of the guys that was hanging around. I don't know.
I understand.
She didn't really.
And what was her name? Do you remember her name?
Elise.
Elise. Is she still here in Savannah, or?
She had moved up somewhere around Atlanta with her daughter when she retired, and
Okay.
I'm not sure if she's still alive or not, because she was 88 when she quit.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't believe she was that old when she retired.
Yeah, that is a really, really, really long time. Now, other than the cleaning person telling you any stories, do you recall one more or two more stories that you can think of?
Clyde Griffin's, I believe it was his sister-in-law. They brought her up here and give her a tour, and she went in on the I believe it was the 4th floor again, and she said, they don't like us in here. So I guess she meant females are not allowed in there or something, but yeah.
I got you.
See, but that, I remember them talking about that since and there was another time there was a lodge meeting up here with some of the wives were waiting on their husbands for get through the meeting, and one of the guys were sitting with them, said he wouldn't be here in the building by themselves. And they heard a noise like somebody was in the building besides the lodge room. So they got on the elevator, went up and was checking the floors and stuff, and they found that one of them had an app or something on his phone for ghosts, and while he was riding the elevator, somebody's name come up on the app saying there was a ghost in the building.
Now, was it one of the person's names that they were with, or just a name in general?
Just they didn't know who it was, and I didn't recognize the name either, so, but I thought it was kind of funny.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any other stories that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to hear them.
Well, I think it was Rick Klinke telling me he was on the 5th floor, and he kept hearing somebody walking around up in the library, and he said it was time to get it out of here. I think it was him. I'm not really positive, but
I got you.
But yeah, I've heard people say they've heard things, saw stuff. Now my husband, he had an experience. He was up here one time when he first joined, and he said he was sitting in one of the seats, I believe it was on the 3rd floor, and he said that this guy was sitting next to him, and he said that he turned around, when he turned back around, the guy was gone. And so I don't know about that, but what he was saying, that kind of made him wonder.
Have you ever left and looked out up at the windows and seen anyone staring back at you?
Oh no.
No? Not even in the parking lot?
Only when the guy that was cleaning the windows was swinging outside the building. And yes,
Gotcha.
He was out there looking in, but no scary faces or anything like that. You can, in this building, the way the sound travels through it, you can hear all the street sounds, and it does make it kind of spooky at times. So, and the wind's blowing through it.
Well, Mrs. Linda, we thank you for your time, and we're going to go ahead and let you go to lunch, and we thank you for spending your time with us.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you, and good luck. I assume you're going to the new building?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because I'm supposed to retire at the end of this year.
That's fine. I just, in case we have some other questions we might want to ask you later on.
Okay.
But thanks for being a good sport and answering our questions, and we'll let you go to lunch.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate that. You're welcome.
Hey everybody, the Scaremaster here. We are at the Savannah Scottish Rite building here in Savannah, Georgia. I'm talking to James L. Johns, or as we call him, JJ, but as us in the shrine call him, Illustrious Sir. He is a past potentate of the Ailey Temple as well, but he's also the General Secretary of the Scottish Rite building here in Savannah, Georgia. JJ, I want to thank you for allowing us to come to the building and talk about the Scottish Rite, some of the history, talk about some ghosts, and then talk a little bit in general about what's to come after you guys leave this building. So JJ, if you don't mind, we're going to ask him questions. As you know, we love talking about ghosts and things and what we do. But in this building in general, how long have you worked here as the General Secretary?
I've been a General Secretary since 2018, Patrick. And I just want to say thank you for coming over, trying to document some things about what's happening in this building, as this will always be the Scottish Rite Masonic Center, and things like this right here are important to our brothers and those that want to become a member of the Scottish Rite. I agree,
and Pam, thank you enough for allowing us to come in. I spent many years here, as well as you have. A lot of meeting nights, a lot of Wednesday nights for me here, with Lodge. But also coming to Lodge and coming to coach classes and doing things. There's been a lot of odd things happening other than Mason's meeting and things like that. I've had some personal experiences that I've shared with some of our viewers, and we've talked to some others, but I wanted to get your recollection on anything that has happened to you personally here before we get into someone else's problem. So anything here out of the ordinary ever happened to you whenever since you've been here?
Well, this building right here is unique. And yes, several times as I'm alone in the building, opening or closing the building, mainly closing the building, going through the floors, and in the Scottish Rite Lodge room, to crank that lodge room up or to turn that lodge room off, you have to go through a couple gyrations. And then when you go upstairs to push the magic lever to turn on the lights or turn off the lights, one time I was in there, as I was going up the stairs, in the restroom on the 4th floor, they are like bar doors, swinging doors, and I heard the doors open and swing real loud. So I hollered out, "Hey, anybody there?" No answer. And of course, being in a building by yourself, when you walk out in the foyer, seeing Albert Pike and all of them looking at you, and then you seeing the doors still moving a little bit, you're like, well, I think I'll leave those lights on tonight and just get out of here. But that's just some occasions. Other occasions is I've been going up, and as I open the elevator opens up, you're walking away, it seems like somebody has said something. You're like, what? Who's there? Who that? And you think about things and you're like, man, I know I heard that voice. And so especially in the Blue Lodge room, it seems that, I don't know, your mind plays tricks on you. You want to hear all of the brothers talking when in the day the entire Blue Lodge room was full of brothers. It's a unique building.
It is. It's very unique, and I know exactly what you're talking about. We did a little video on the 3rd floor, which we call the Blue Lodge building, Blue Lodge floor, and in the corners where I sat as treasurer for many years, and that hallway going down there, hearing the creaks and things and people walking up and down, and the small little knocks on the door either to gain entrance or let you know that they're leaving. Those is what plays tricks with you a lot. I'd also know that that chime sometimes would go off for no reason, and it won't go off unless you push it. And we were lucky enough to go up there and get on video of what it takes to actually get the chime to chime. Now, on the 4th floor, we were up there as well, and I showed them how dark it is, and we went infrared. But walking across from that floor, from there just to the actual corner to get to the stage is creepy enough in itself. Have you ever heard anybody talk about anything about any of the brothers sitting up in the rafters looking down at you?
No, but I heard one of the brothers who was in the stage crew, now it was as a stage master, who is passed now. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's a past potentate. The middle, or the half floor on the 4th floor and the 5th floor, where we have words in the ceiling for certain parts of the degrees. That back in the day, you know, this building right here when it was built, didn't have electricity. So to be able to illuminate those, they had to put lanterns up there. And I've heard people say that they've gone up there by themselves because a light was out and they actually saw a little glow or something like that.
Oh,
and
wow.
Up there between there. And it's spooky enough just to look in there and say, but you know, this building, you know, the Scottish Rite in Savannah is the 2nd oldest Rite in the southern jurisdiction, chartered in 1802, where the Scottish Rite was chartered by Albert Pike in 1801, when he brought all of the degrees together. So this building, since 1928, has got a lot of people that has moved in and out of this right here.
Let me ask you this. If you had to spend the night in here by yourself,
No.
what is the least favorite room? If you had to spend one night in one room, which room would you definitely not want to spend the night in?
I would not want to spend the night on the 5th floor. And the reason is because there's only 2 ways you can get out of this. Well, there's 3. You can jump out of a window, because there is no fire escape. You can use the elevator if it's working, or you got to use that stairwell.
Yep.
And I'm not too good with stairs. Most people know I'm not too good with stairs because of my condition. But you would have to move very quickly. And I think there's a reason why in one of our degrees there is a winding staircase. You're not going to get out of a winding staircase very easily. No, I would not want to spend the night here unless there was a whole group of people. It's just not something that I would like to do. This building moans and groans when there's nothing going on.
It does, and it's hard to explain unless you experience it yourself, like many of us have. And to me, myself here, I will not come in this building by myself anymore because of the experiences I've had. Some of the experiences, you know, that we've also had is when you're standing out in the parking lot, when we used to park in the parking lot and get ready to go home and talk about lodge or what's coming up, a parade or anything, and someone would say, look up, and you look up, and on the 4th floor or the 5th floor, you would see people staring down at you, dressed in the old hats with the beards and the mustaches and everything. And when we were in the library room, we saw pictures, and I guarantee you the man with the long white beard, I don't know what his name is, I have seen him several times looking down at us in the parking lot as if to say, where are you going? Or what are you doing here? Very spooky. One of the things I want to talk about, I don't know if you remember the security guard that we had here, Jiggs.
Jiggs.
Now, I have not seen Jiggs. Some people have claimed to have seen Jiggs. I have heard Jiggs, and I have done his little knock that he used to do to let us know, hey, I'm tired, I'm going home. Have you heard any stories about Jiggs that used to work here, or
I've just heard comments when people say, you know, when I come on as general secretary, I thought we needed maybe a Jiggs again, you know, a Tyler for the 1st floor. That way everything would be locked up. And people would say, I don't know why you need that. He's still here.
Yeah.
I have not experienced it. Scary in itself, you know, in itself, you know, but I would not put it past the supernatural because, you know, I believe that we come back to where we enjoyed, you know, so I don't know. I have not seen it or heard it, but.
Now, up on the 5th floor, there's a trap door, you know what I'm talking about, that leads down into nothing. Is there
any reason to have or to have had that trap door?
Well, you know, the York Rite was here, and if you, I know you're not a York Rite member.
No.
And neither am I, but I do. I know from York Rite members telling me some of the things that was part of the ritual in the York Rite.
Okay.
Now, have you ever been down in it?
No. Well, I have been down in it. This was years ago.
Now, I have heard that you go down it, but at one time, the person that was down in there, the door wouldn't open, and then hey, somebody standing on the door, and then all of a sudden, it opens up.
Yeah, I went there.
Now, that happened to me on the robing room. I was up there in the electronics room turning on, and when I went to open the door to get out of it closed. And I thought somebody had come out of the robing room, and because when you hit that door, it'll shut the electronics room door. And I couldn't get out. Hey! And I looked out the vents that used to be for the projectors, and nobody was like, hey. And then all of a sudden, when I went to open the door, it was just as easy to open up. So I don't know what it was that the door jammed it, and it just come loose. But to be in this building and get locked in that electronics room, it's scary.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, I went down into the trap door that you're talking about, but it's been a while. But when we went up there just now, a couple of them climbed down in there, and it's pretty dark and it's pretty spooky. But I never actually knew why.
Now, would you spend the night in that?
Me? No. I asked the two people I've got with me if they would spend the night in there, and they said sure. I was like, no, I would not. I think what happens is, until you have experienced, once these lights are out and it's dark outside and that door shuts, it's hard to it's hard to explain. It's hard to get your mind right.
Well,
so
late at night, I'm talking about when it's dark, lodge is going on, and then you're leaving or you're locking up, you go back up on the 4th floor, or any of these old real paintings. And a real painting or a real portrait, the eyes actually, they say follow you. Those portraits up there, if you ever get up there and you just watch it, no matter where you look, they're looking at you.
I have to check.
So you have to go check that out.
I will.
Because those are real oil paintings. Especially the one of Albert Pike.
Now on the first floor, now I know there was, when I first started and everything, there was the door you could open and you could climb down, and which would lead to like these little tunnels down there. And I know a lot of them are sealed off now and everything, but when I first came in back in 98, 99, up until about 2001, the skinniest person could climb up over it and unlock that door from the inside, and we could walk. You could walk almost to where the park was. You could walk over to where SCAT is now across the street. It was really freaky. Have you heard why those tunnels were actually even built?
I have not, and I have not been down there because I don't get along well with stairs. But I have always assumed, and talking in generalities, when you have a building and what it's built for and who we are, I'm sure that they wanted to have access to other areas, and I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine why they did it, and there was no go on YouTube and read about the Masonic order and everything else. So I believe, just from my father's generation, the order was more secretive, and I believe that might have had something to do with it. My opinion only.
Now, have you heard any other stories before we wrap up about the building in general and experiences other people have had here?
No, just most people, just talk about the history of the building, you know, and that I would like to get off the subject just for a moment, but you know, yes, this is a Masonic temple. It will always be a historic Masonic temple, but Masonry is not 341 Bull Street. And that's the great thing about our order. And, you know, I believe that if there is people that are, or other things that are here, will be transported with us, because we're taking most of the history with us. And if you believe in such, the saying word is that the afterlife go to where they're most happy. And this was the center of social activities for many years before what we have now is everything social. So I believe they'll probably maybe migrate over to 3001 Chatham Parkway Drive.
Yeah, so real quick, so the last date that we will actually turn the building over to SCAD is
July 3rd.
July 3rd of 2020. And you are, well, not you, but the Scottish Rite building is being built at, it's across from Redgate Farms is all I know.
No, it's 3001 Chatham Parkway Drive at Chatham Center.
Chatham Center, okay.
Chatham Center. If you know where Strayer University is, we're right before you get to Strayer University on 5 acres. It's being built now. It's on Facebook under Scottish Rite Facebook page. Please like the page and join it. And every week we have an update from the contractor on what's happening with the building. The building will be 25,000 square feet. It will have it'll be a grand building. It'll be built for Masons, by Masons, just like this building right here was. And I believe that you will find that it will also be a contribution to Masonry and to the Savannah architectural, because it is not a brick and mortar storefront building.
Any date that we're looking at of?
Right now, as of last Friday, we're still looking at in November, turning over to end of November, first week in December, turning it over to Scottish Rite. Then we got to furnish it, get it ready, and then we will have a grand cornerstone laying where the Spring Council, the Grand Lodge of Georgia, masters, past masters, will come in, televised, and we'll have a cornerstone laying.
Well, JJ, I want to thank you for your time and allowing us to come in and explore the building a little bit more before it is handed over. And thanks for sharing some of your thoughts and insights of the building as well. You know, do you believe the building is haunted?
I don't believe in the word haunted. I don't believe it's haunted. I don't believe that anything is here to harm anything. I think that they're making themselves known. Has it been more prominent since the building has been sold last year, and that you can see things happening here as we start to move out of the building? I still would not want to be here after dark without somebody here. Okay.
So we couldn't get you on a Saturday night to check in at 12 a.m. and check out at 7 a.m.
No, not unless we got 100 members here.
Well, JJ, thanks again. We appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you again.
Thank you, Patrick, for what you're doing.